we're starting quadratic equations, which are equations with an x squared as the biggest exponent. So they make parabolas, which are U-shaped graphs. And we're going to learn how to solve by graphing today. We're going to learn how to solve by graphing, by completing the square, by quadratic formula, but today we're just doing graphing. When you're solving by graphing, your equation is going to be equal to 0, and you're finding where it hits the x-axis. That is real important throughout this chapter. What are you finding when you solve a quadratic equation? And you go, where it hits the x-axis. That's the biggest question that's asked all the time. So when you graph these on your calculator, and if it hits the x-axis at -2 and 4, like that first one, then those are the solutions to that quadratic function, okay? And that's what we're doing today. Sometimes they hit at an exact 1 point where it bounces, and we'll go over that later, what that means when we do factoring. The first one hits at 2 places, but if you look below, that last one on the bottom left hits in between numbers. It doesn't hit at an exact point, right? I did that on purpose because some of your homework are going to be like that. And when it is like that, your answer is going to be somewhere between -2 and -3, and somewhere between 1, 2, 3, and 4. You see that? You're not going to be able to tell me the exact place, but you're just going to say between those two numbers. Okay, so that's part of your answer. Then the last two on the right don't hit at all, and those would have no real solution or complex solutions. And imaginary numbers, which we will go over soon, have to do with those. They were invented kind of to take care of this situation when the graph doesn't hit the x-axis, okay? I say they were kind of discovered because they were always there. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to put A equals, B equals, C equals, and A, B, and C are the numbers that are in front of the x squared, the x, and the plane number, okay? So the number in front of x squared is a 1, so A is a 1 because it's 1x squared. The number in front of the x is a -4. Don't forget the signs or you're going to have some problems. And the number in front of the plane number is a -5, okay? And now we're going to find the x of the vertex, because that's our little trick on the calculator that I'm going to teach you. So to find the x of the vertex, you do -b over 2a, okay? And you put in the numbers. So it's going to be -4 over 2 times 1, which is 4 over 2, which is 2. So that's the number to watch. That number will be different each time. So go ahead and finish that, and I'll show you how to key it in the calculator. So we're going to put in the equation in the y equals screen. We're going to go to second window and type in that 2 that we got when we found the x of the vertex. And then we're going to do second graph. And the first point on your table should be 2, -9. Okay? Up button on your calculator until that vertex is right in the middle of the screen. For me, there's 3 points above it and 3 points below it. If you have a newer calculator, I think there's like 6 or 5 points above it and 5 points below it. So put it in the middle. The way you know it's in the middle is the y column mirrors itself. The top number equals the bottom number. You see it? And then when you go down 1 and up 1 from the bottom, they're the same, and it goes all the way to that 2, -9. Do you see it? So now plot those points on your graph, as many as you can. Once you get to where you hit the x-axis, you're done. You just need to see where the u goes. So go ahead and plot those points. All right, so now you're going to look where it hits the x-axis. In this case, this graph hits the x-axis at -1 and at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, and at 5. That is the solution. So your answer is going to be the graph and then where it hits the x-axis. That's what I want on your homework sheet, okay? So we went ahead and found A is equal to 2, B is equal to -12, C is equal to 17. Then we found -b over 2a, which is -12 over 2 times 2, which is 12 over 4, which is 3. Now we put that in the y equals screen and hit second window and type in a 3, and then second graph, and then go up until the 3 point is in the middle of your screen, and plot as many of those points as you need to show where it hits the x-axis. So we graph the points until we get a U that crosses over the x-axis, or it shows clearly that it doesn't. And now we're going to look at this graph. Where does this graph hit the x-axis? Does it hit at an exact point? No, it hits between 2 and 3 and between 3 and 4. And that's the answer I want, the graph and that answer.